My mother also, she was another hindrance. She always thought that maybe you should look for something else to do. At that time, my psyche was towards black. More black artists need to do more work. Stand up. My name is David Inniss, artist known as Asher, come from the island of Barbados. What I do is, I'm a painter, a visual artist. I paint in a realistic concept, because to me that is the real form of art that we should be portraying as artists. Art for me is a life, it's a gift given from God, so I like to portray what God gave me in a most visual way. How I create my paintings is in a visual concept, painting and sculpting. I like also drawing, but the drawing for me is just a basic thing. Paint for me is the ultimate, because the paint has a texture to it, it has a feeling to it, you know, it has softness and it has a smell also. How I got started in painting and the art is coming from a family side of things. My cousin was a visual artist also. He was a very, very good artist, and at the age of 5 he won a competition and he got some awards from this competition of some paints and some brushes and so on, and it was in the house at the age of 5, so I cut some of these paints and some of these brushes and so on, and I somehow knew that this was for me, you know, this is my thing, this is my God-given gift. I didn't think at the first I would be able to become an artist because of the restrictions I had as a youth, you know. Art material was very expensive for one, you know, and my mother also, she was another hindrance. She always thought that maybe you should look for something else to do instead of being an artist. Go find something else to do. She would always say, oh, you're not gonna make it with art. Don't bother yourself with that. You know, it's only for a hobby. But I used to say to her, you know, art is something that it not only can make money, but it also can, you know, it can inspire others to become something that otherwise they're even also an artist, you know, because artist has many different channels too within the art. But it was very hard for me. You know, no money, you know, a poor background also, you know what I mean, even to get food was hard, so to be an artist was, you know, something unheard of, you know, there was no artist in my community. They didn't have the money or the you know, the background to take the art forward, you know, but for me, I was lucky because I had a good schooling, and in Barbados the schools are very equipped for like helping, you know, kids and things to help further their knowledge and so on. So the school actually gave me paper and so on, and crayons and so on at first to take home, and you know, and to sketch and to do my art. But the real big change came when I went to the bigger school, or when I went to like what they call secondary school in this country. You know, when I met a teacher who actually came to school in London, and he pushed me a lot. You know, he actually pushed me. He got materials for me. You know, he got scholarship and things for me. He even got me into doing an A-level art, which something was very, very, very not heard of in that time. You know, so I think I came far. I did well, you know, to overcome these hurdles that I had at that point in my life, you know, to become what I am today, you know. In school, art was my main focus. I had all other subjects, you know, I love all other subjects in school, but art was my main focus in school. I was nominated the best art student, you know, in the whole of the island, and I got good recognition from that, you know. I got high awards in Canada and so on for that particular, you know what I mean, presentation. For me it was so hard because there were certain restrictions in school, because they wanted us to follow the concept of the syllabus coming from England. I couldn't follow the syllabus because it was a hindrance to my at that time my psyche was towards black and blackness and so on. So it was kind of a conflict between their syllabus and my view of what my art's supposed to be.
One little step to the left. Yeah, man.
That's it. Had to be portraying black, had to be something African. I started to, you know, embrace my African roots, and I tried to portray my art portray my African roots within my art. And that was a difficulty because within the school they didn't want the students them to be portraying what they saw as anarchy.
We are the slave descendants from the African race, the African race, the African
because what it's going to cause for us to start to think about, you know, back to Africa and things like that. So they didn't want us to think like this. They want us to focus on art and Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo and certain other artists from Europe. But I wanted to know what is the African, the equivalent for these people, but they wouldn't show it to us. So I saw myself as it. I was the equivalent. I am the African artist. I am bigger than Michelangelo. I am bigger than Leonardo da Vinci. The transition from being a school student to being a fully fledged artist it took more than 7 years. For me, dedication to art was utmost dedication. And coming from a ghetto background it wasn't easy to actually be an artist, because no one wants to be an artist, you know what I mean? Because being an artist is like, you don't want to do nothing, you're just a loafer. That's what they were trying to portray, you know. But we was trying to bring the concept, you know, that art is not only a loafing thing, it's something that we can use as a tool to, you know, to edify people and so on. That's what I saw within myself, but people were saying it's just a thing, it's just maybe an economical thing where they can make some money from it. When I started painting like black orientated paintings and so on, start to move from that, start to move through my also my faith, which I had, which was in the Rastafari faith, which is always we know as the African concept and everything, helped to strengthen and build on what I was doing before. The techniques I was using were all African, which were given to me from my forefathers. That's how I saw it, because I never went to any school to learn these techniques. So if you ask yourself where these techniques came from, all I can say is they were given from Father above to give me these talents so I can express to the people what they need to know. Because in my art I'm thinking the art is the reason for me to show the people what they need to know about our history, or where we're from, or where we can go if we inspire to that. Because it's what a man inspired to, he's going to have in his life. What techniques do I use? Okay, I use the modern techniques I use, and I also use ancient techniques in my paintings. Some artists they use only the modern, but I like the ancient because the ancient are there from creation, and they're the easiest to use also. And those are the ones which you don't have to pay to get to know them. They're all given to you by God, you know. The concept of what we call perspective and so on, which they try to make us believe that this perspective thing is something, you know, so extraordinary. I utilize dry brush technique. I use wet and to wet techniques. I use all of the techniques you can use within a painting. I used to do sketching, which is like sketching is a basic technique which you use to if you wanna document anything, you can sketch it and you can have it for later referral or anything like that. But most artists, they sketch their art first before they actually paint it and so on. But I don't use that technique anymore. I just go into the painting and paint. And also I can do sculpture, I can do 3D art, you know, which is a thing which is a good thing.
Yeah, we met the plane past. Turn around to the something. Yeah, man.
My special piece of work is one piece called Tribulation in the year 1988. Ethiopia was going through one of its worst droughts. The people in Barbados were talking about it, the news was everywhere, you know, people were wondering what can we do to help the Ethiopian people. What I could do was maybe paint something to portray to the world what the Ethiopian people were experiencing. Now to do that is not a thing where it's going to be easy, because for one, a lot of the people, they don't actually care about what's happening to the people in Ethiopia. But we try to show the world what's happening to the people in Ethiopia. This painting would come and enlighten the world to what's happening. It's a painting on canvas, it's an oil painting. For me, it's special because I don't usually paint in oil paints, because oils are toxic and I don't like to paint in them. All of my paintings are mostly acrylic or watercolor or some non-toxic material that I use, because I don't like to use the oil paints. But this one is in all oils. It's on canvas and it's going to stand the test of time. And that's the reason why I did it like this, so that the people, it's something to last, and it's portraying Ethiopia. In the painting is depicting the plight of the Ethiopian people. You have the mother and the child. The concept of the mother who is giving, the mother is the one who brings life, and the child is the one who's going forward. The child is hungry, the mom is hungry, both of us are hungry. The earth is all cracked and dried. The painting itself, you can feel from the painting the tribulation that the people are going through. Hence the name of the painting is Tribulation. That's my favorite piece, and it's a very special piece. 1997, I was painting a mural for the High Commissioner in Barbados, and the wife of the High Commissioner, she was so impressed with the work I was doing that she decided to enter me into this international concept of body beer from Berlin, which was sponsored by UNICEF. UNICEF, being an international organization, they were financing a big project of world peace, whereby they have the body beers, they have beers, they make statues of beers, and each statue represents a country. And what they wanted was for every artist all over the world to come and portray what is happening in their country on each beer. So the Barbados government decided to send me to Berlin to paint for UNICEF a body beer with a Barbadian concept on it. I went and I did this beer for Barbados. I did this beer in 1997 for Barbados, and the UNICEF, they liked it so much that the beer was the first of the beers to be sold in public, because the beers were not only for show, but they were also for sale, and so they can make some income for UNICEF. All the money went to as I was told, went to donations for the African people. How much of that happened, I don't know, but I hope it did. Anyway, after that, the Berlin government decided they were going to send for me again, UNICEF, that they were going to send for me again to reproduce another beer, because the first one had sold. So I went to Berlin twice to do the beer, to do the same beer twice. But the other beer, the last beer I did, was a different concept to the first one I did. But all within Barbados and the Barbados traditions and so on. But because of that beer, I get worldwide recognition, because the beer went to all countries in the world, and the beer is still touring the world today. I don't know the exact country which is residing in today, but I think it's back in Berlin now. You can go and view the beer in Berlin. But that was one big accomplishment for me, to have that international plateau then for my art. The role of black art now and for the future. For me, more black artists need to do more work, more painting, more action, because without that, we can't show the people our history, what is happening, and things that are about to happen. And with that, the art, we can do all of these things, whether it be in painting or whether it be in literature. More black people has to get on board.
Stand up firm. Streets teach you what you should learn.